Peace. Peace and love. I just thought I would come to you and share what is on my mind right now. For some reason, I'm just feeling this positive energy. Usually I'm in a good place anyway, in spite of the attacks against the people. All right. So, this is the first day of what is called a Black History Month. Some might call it African American History Month or whatever have you. I'm going to call it Black History Month. B. The B is for bold. The L is for logical. We're a logical people. All right. A is for amazing. C is for competent. K is for keepers of our affairs, of our estates, of our birthright, of all things that are good, all things that are entitled to us, all things that we work hard for, that we study and show ourselves approved for. That is what Black means to me. That is what Black means to me. And I know I've heard other acronyms as well. But this is a time of change. This is a time, there's a shift in the air. It's a shift in the sky. The planets are aligning. All right? Many are distracted. I'm not distracted. I'm not distracted. So I just encourage all those who are seeing what's happening in the news and knowing that there's definitely a shift, just to keep your energy positive. If we're here for a purpose. All right. And it's our responsibility to be our best selves as much as we can. So I want to communicate more as things happen to me, because I find that my silence is maybe misunderstood. And I think we need to communicate. We need to help each other more. We need to come into community more. Something that comes to mind for me is Wendy Williams. I mentioned it before. I was really touched before, and I am very passionate about justice and lack thereof. So I can't help anyone else until I help myself. So there have been, I've spoken of this before, of my mom and I being targeted. There's the Section 702 of the FISA court. That program is being talked about on the Congress floor, asking the new secretary, I think is the Secretary of DEH, Department of Homeland Security, DHS rather, asking, are you going to support 702? I mean, that's really bold for anyone to ask that question, because that program is a gateway into the genocide of about 250,000, I think that's the number, people that are experimented on against their will. Many minimizing, they describe it as minimizing, and they say that that's what is needed to keep us safe on the continent. Okay, if you have to search, warrantless searches, if you have to lie and cheat and work in the dark, if that's what you have to do to keep Americans safe, then that's shame on you. If that's the most creative that you can be to keep Americans safe, is to break international law and to break treaty law, shame on you. That's not sustainable. and Loper Enterprises versus, what is the case? Ramundo. It's clearly stated anything that is unconstitutional as far as administrative processes that are unconstitutional, they're notwithstanding. So people who are bold enough to come out and say these things, please know that there's going to be a shift. There are rewards and consequences in life. There are rewards for those who stand up for what is true and just and right. And there are consequences for those who do not. And I think a cleave or leave is appropriate for such thing. All right. So despite us surviving that, I'm been studying and seeing an opportunity for us to be our best and walk in peace, because the option is not acceptable. I am a naturalist. I don't agree to being tracked. I don't agree to this 2030 agenda to make people like part of this transhuman thing. All right. So I just go on the record to say that I stand against that fraud. I stand against the miseducation of healthcare professionals that are many times also charged with the task of diagnosing, not being told the truth about what it is that folks are exposed to that will affect their physical and their mental health particularly, right? If you're a mental health professional and you have not been educated on voice to skull technology or direct energy weapons or all the things that are documented and known facts that are used on people, then you've been miseducated. And you wouldn't expect for people to know because it's not taught in school. No one is held responsible for it. And it's not in mainstream media. So these are things that, although it's needed to be known, all right, it's needed that this be known. You're not gonna find a lot of healthcare professionals that know this, but this is gonna change, right? Because what? We are bold, right? We are logical, amazing, competent, and keepers of our affairs. So those are a couple of things that stood out for me to talk about. Another thing that stands out for me to talk about, to boldly address this month, is coming together to end the evictions, the ejectments of people, particularly and easily attacked in these non-judicial foreclosure states. All right. So that mock case that came out the other day was Zachary Moore. That's interesting. A Z name, not Zachariah, but Zachary. So, but Zachary Moore against the bank, right? And it was a mock case, but a lot of what was said there is already, well, it's not a lot. What was said, what was brought to the forefront is this idea that between the promissory note being separated from the deed of trust. Now, this is something that's unconstitutional. This is known. But when we don't hold people responsible, then you have whole systems that just go in a way that is not sustainable. It's not good karma to be taking the estates of older people, particularly we have baby boomers now. And so you see, I heard the other day that Tyra Banks, she shared that she lost her home. Poor thing. Does she know that she can get her home back? Now, we have Wendy Williams, who's being held hostage in front of the whole world. And her son, he doesn't know how to get her back, So now you have people like me who can say, okay, I think I know how to do this, but I have to show and prove first. And so what I had been dealing with over these last couple of weeks, and I see it's turning a little bit. I'm able to get my accounts back, but some of the things that I sought out to do were being blocked. So I had funds in the account, but when I go to spend, let's say I want to follow UCC, I can't follow UCC statement with cash. Okay. Let's say right now, okay, the jurisdiction where I stay, um, they're stealing conveyances, they're stealing cars. Well, how do I know this? Because I talked to other people where their cars were taken, but the policy enforcers would not give, they wouldn't give a report number. Why is that? I get a call from internal affairs. They said, if it's happening to you, maybe it's happened to someone else. Well, because I had other things that were under attack, other property that was under attack as well. Maybe I don't have time to go try to find a car on my own. So what I'm saying is this attack on our property right now, which would be solved by putting a trust on the record. That's part of it. I didn't know how to do that then or to do that. I shouldn't say I didn't know to do it. I think I would say I didn't know how to competently do that at the time. And the acceleration, the lack of due process, the lack of due service of process, and also the physical attacks on people. If you go to targetedjustice.com, you'll see the type of attacks that are on people. And it affects not just your, how you feel, crappy. All right. It attacks your focus, especially someone like me who likes to feel good. All right. I eat well. I used to exercise a lot because I appreciate having a well-functioning body. I used to do hair for a living, so you can't have your body be broke down. That is your tool. Your body is your tool to get things done. So someone who notices that and then is attacked is called being minimized, right? Attack your finances, attack your relationships, attack many areas of your life. I'm so grateful for the people who share their experiences. Whereas, not that they all shared some happy endings or anything like that, but they shared enough for me to be able to know that, okay, it's not just me. And it's been a couple of years now that it has intensified. And I'm saying, turn back from your wicked ways. Those who sit back and watch, particularly those who brag and announce their governing this and governing that. Well, you're not governing anything if you're not protecting the people. Okay. So with that being said, it is time for us to come together, create plans, look at other successful communities that are restoring, where people are rewriting their constitutions, where they're participating, not just coming away from others, but also demanding change. All right. So this is, again, about being bold and doing so competently. So I know I took a little tangent, but these are some of the things that this month we will address. All right. We will address that there are more creative ways to manage the times that we're in than to destroy what is good here in North America. It's not okay that we would come to a point of where the economy doesn't work for certain people and you just tear it down. No. Things need to shift orderly and peacefully, and that will happen. So thank you for all those who are teaching civics, teaching law. And it is my goal this month to teach and share the interconnectedness about all the areas of wellness in our life, right? Our relationships, our spirituality in relationship to religion, because most people know it's not the same. In our relationship to the criminal justice system, to our housing, to our transportation, to our education system, to our financial system, and learning all this with the goal of creating more skills, of, I should say, developing our skills, right? Being more creative with working with one another and developing our skills so that we can have a comeuppance. Because we actually do get to choose. And there's a lot of energy going into making us think that we are powerless. On one hand, calling the people incompetent, and on the other hand, efforts are being made to make us feel as if we cannot do, all for the purpose of taking advantage of us, all for the purpose of taking the fruit of our energy. All right, but there is a comeuppance. There is a comeuppance. I'll speak it again, and I will do it not alone. I will do the things that need to be done for comeuppance. And we have to know that things that are done in the dark will come to the light. Now, nobody's perfect. I don't profess to be perfect. I don't hold anybody else to be perfect. But I expect us to study and to know better and to do better. All right. And another thing I'll be doing is identifying how to check ourselves, how to know what's true and not true, how to logically be able to know when someone's trying to get over on you, because people are trying to get over on you. And many of them are misled themselves. So they're very convincing, very charismatic. All right. So we want to hone our skills in that way, to be able to do logic models so we can sit down, quiet, ask for guidance, ask for that intuition, actually write it down. Like, if someone tells you to do something, go down that whole chain of all the unintended consequences that could come about. Or if someone tells you something to rile up your emotions, right? Be able to tap into not only that intuitive mind that says something ain't right, but be able to recognize what you don't know, so you can compare what you're being told to what you don't actually know, to what you cannot verify or what you can verify. Because when you do that, you'll be in that group of folks that is not fooled so much, right? Because there are a couple of groups, right? It's those how did it say? You can fool some people all the time. You can fool all the people all the time. And I might not be saying in the right order, but you can't fool all the people all the time. All right. And when your skill set for evaluating is on point, you'll be in that group of people that is not getting fooled that much. You ain't getting fooled all the time. And you're not getting fooled sometime. You might get fooled like rarely, but it'll go down when you're able to make sound judgments and recognize what you don't know. All right. A lot of people, someone tells them something and they're convincing and they go with it and they get emotional and they don't go back to they don't want to come off of where they were. They're easily drug along. A Judas goat will come and you'll be right behind them. All right. Blaming them instead of looking in the mirror and saying, hey, my skill set, I could do some improvement on learning how to detect what is correct and not correct, especially in this age where people are using folks' images without their permission and things like that. In fact, I just want to share, if anyone sees any image of me on some dating website or like whatever like that, let me know, email me. I need to also put something in writing where I give people permission. You can sue. you sue them for me. You sue them, you keep the money, because an insult and an injustice to someone is a chance for injustice to anyone, right? So I'm going to share that some of the claims that I'll bring forth for the escheat of the right. My mom and I have been victim to that whole foreclosure fraud piece. And you know what? It's the foreclosure fraud is actually, for me, it's not the biggest issue, right? It is the unlawful ejectment, right? From sheriff's deputies that can't read, from unlawful magistrates that actually cannot be in the role that they're in because they're enriching themselves. So this is now a systemic thing. So with that said, I've said a lot and I've said a little, but my point is to move forward in this month, being bold, being logical, amazing, competent, all right, and keepers of our estates and our way. So I'm grateful to be able to spend just a couple minutes laying that out, that I will come forth as it relates to wellness and wealth, well-being for all the indigenous peoples in the world, because it really is the same issue. And then I guess the other thing I want to mention too is that I realize is with these changes taking place in the U.S., the United States of America, I like to call it Tamari or Turtle Island, part of the Moroccan Empire, right? With all that, is so much of the world economy is depending on the United States corporation. So if the world economy is dependent on it, that means that is the scope of the change and the transformation. And I think it was even last year, was it 2024, was the last of the 10 years where the United Nations the programs were focused on helping Africa. But I didn't really see that much. I don't know about a lot of change in the positive for the people, right? So I realized indigenous peoples all over, we have the opportunity in Americas to be the catapult location to help a comeuppance for all the indigenous peoples of the world, right? And I just think about the stories I've heard of the indigenous people on the 7 continents, right? And recognizing that the stories are so much alike. In fact, some of the Australians, when I saw them, I was like, oh my goodness, they look like my grandmother. It amazes me, actually. But I have no other way to be other than positive, because it is how you radiate that. That's what's going to come back to you. What you put out is what you're going to get back. All right. So I think it's the energy too. I think it's the energy in the skies, and knowing that the planets are about to align, and knowing that I don't want to be hooked up any more than what I'm already hooked up to AI, right? And going on the record to say that the people who are doing this, you're actively involved in genocide, and the karma will find you for that. All right. Burning down states is not an acceptable way to earn income or to create a situation where you're now wanting to rebuild. I know I know that it's written down that that's the best opportunity. But we see you. This is the awakening. We're aware, right? Um, Danger to self or danger to others is an offense of where you would be detained. And I'm not talking about like legal, I'm talking about a mental health evaluation. All the ways that there are to make money in the world, and you would plot and sit around and consider to harm others or to destroy property that could result in the harm of others. Okay, we want to come out of that. What's done is done, but these are not acceptable ways to move forward. All right, so peace, love, and know that I've been diligently working, and I challenge you to do the same. Put that thing in turbo mode for this month, right? And so there are times when it feels a little bit draining, especially when the things I know to do, when the things I want to do, I don't see a clear path to get there, right? So like I said, if I need to put a UCC lien or a non-UCC lien, or I need to mail something out in a way that I know it's going to get there, or what have you, or I need funds to get around. You have funds, but then you can't connect to the funds. You go to the bank, and the bank is like, it's not us. We don't know what's going on. All right. See, so when you know what to do, but you can't do it in the way you want to do it, or then it gets a little frustrating sometimes, right? But I just claim victory. All right. And I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you, if you tried it once, try it again and try it again, and don't stop trying. Persevere, persevere, persevere. All right. Um, the other thing that stands out, I'm just sharing my schedule in general. Okay. So effectively, and I'll go over effective homelessness when we do our wellness piece. Effectively, I'm homeless, right? Um, Effectively because I don't have like a mortgage on my in my uh, trade name like that, right? I'm not going to go into what I do have or what have you, but this where I am is a transition. So effective homelessness, it's a legal term. Relying on Lyft, Uber, Empower, whatever, whichever one. I won't get into that either. Well, I'm gonna just correct it. I don't mess with Lyft anymore. I've been traumatized enough in Lyfts, and they want me to use a state ID, and I don't rely on a state ID. I do have a formal identification, but it is not a corporate state one. So their services are designed for people who have corporate state IDs. So I can't deal with them. Okay. So the last thing I have time to do is be sitting up in restaurants. I don't have the funds either, because a lot of times my funds get blocked. So I don't even know how much I'm going to have available for the month. I might start out with a certain amount and I'll do a budget, but the budget doesn't matter if there's some kind of block on the funds. I'm running down to the bank trying to see why, and that's not it. It's on. There's a way to stop stuff on the merchant side, right? Amazon account, had to redo that. All my accounts I had to like redo. A lot of the programs and things that I want to connect with to help. I'm a classroom learner. That's how I learn. I learn better in class. If I know there's a class, if there's reading ahead, I'm going to read the reading, and then I'm going to go to class. I'm going to listen to the lecture. Then when it's time to take a test, I'm going to be ready for the test. And then when I have to apply things and people say stupid stuff, well, I don't know what to do. Well, clearly because you didn't read and you didn't study. But I like the classroom setting. So for me, especially not being in a situation where I can spend a lot of money on books, right? Can't spend a lot of money on books. Amazon shut down where I like order ebooks and things like that. So these are just some of the challenges I'm going through, right? Because outside looking in, it might be like, well, what's taking her so long to do what she said she's going to do? Well, I can't just run to the law library, right? Because I don't necessarily. Well, one time I couldn't even take Empower because my account was shut down, so I had no way of getting anywhere other than where I could walk to. And I don't want to walk to the courthouse library because sometimes I get a lot of headaches when I'm there. All right. That's something that people are targeted have talked about too. When they're in certain settings, they get a lot of headaches. Like one gentleman, he told me that when he was in a courtroom case, that he couldn't even express himself well because he started getting targeted with the headaches at the time. These are direct energy weapons, and they're documented, and people have testified about them. People who have PhDs and some more stuff who involved in the targeting at one time, and they come out of it whistleblowers, whatever, right? All right. So they try to condition you into not being certain places. I remember there was a time when I would go to a service. I want to call it church, but it wasn't church. But I would congregate or go to assembly, and I would get like um, a lot of headaches. I think um, that the correlation that I was making is to get me out of that assembly, to keep me from being connected. And I do actually have a hypothesis as to what religion it is that some of these folks who are using these targeting type of things that they're associated with. But see, this is what I realize about religion. Um, all of the Abrahamic religions are built on a calendar that it's not in line with the skies anyway. So everybody gonna have to repent. All right. How you gonna tell me Sunday is better than Saturday is better than Friday, better than Tuesday? It's all based on a Babylonian calendar. So let's get over ourselves, okay? And I don't say don't worship or congregate on those days. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when we have these differences, that we cannot look down on each other because one does something different than another, when it's all out of line with nature. Okay. And with it, we're still able to be our best selves and love on each other and give to each other and support each other. It's just that I know that in other countries, they're better about being accepting of the differences. All right. So I just want us to be more accepting of each other's differences, to defer our judgment because we don't know what other people are going through, to be our best selves in every area of our lives. How dare we look at other people in judgment when we don't have it all together in all the areas? Okay. And some people might think they have it all together. Well, I don't know how you can look at the US, look at America, and say you have it all together. No matter how big your house is, how fly your car is, how many 2.3 children you have, how you can say everything is all together and you see the people around you hurting and suffering. No, no. You might be doing some things right. You might be on the right path. But to say everything is just hunky dory right here is not being honest because there's so much work to do. So we can be passionate and also content at the same time. We can hold those, we can hold both of those, I guess, spectrums of energy. All right, we can do that. But I challenge you, and I say, let's move fast like this month moves fast. All right. And the interesting thing is what? The 1st of February is what? It's 3 days off of the new moon. So it's close in the cycle aligning. And keep up the energy, be bold, and be good keeper. Peace.